So I'm the Associate Director of Environmental Programs, Los Alamos National Laboratory. Are you the button pusher?
Got fired. Fired.
Hey, thank you, capable assistant. What I'd like to talk about today is just kind of give you an overview of where we finished up fiscal year 13 and kind of a status of what we're doing moving forward in 14. And give you a little bit of an update, something kind of exciting in our world. We started some of the shipments to Idaho that we've talked about here, so I want to talk just a little bit about that. So first of all, we had a goal of 2,600 cubic meters of cumulative waste to be shipped out of the laboratory by the end of September. We exceeded that goal. The number that we sent out was 2,745.6 cubic meters, so about 145 cubic meters ahead of schedule at the end of the year. In terms of shipping, we shipped 185 shipments to WIP. So that was, if you remember, the year before we shipped about 240 shipments. So that was slightly less. But in addition to those 185 shipments, we also shipped 39 mixed low-level waste shipments of the oversized boxes that went to waste control specialists. So why less shipments? And is that bad? Less shipments were because we employed a new decontamination technology, and for a lot of our large glove boxes of waste, we were able to decon those to levels less than transuranic, send them to a mixed low-level waste treatment storage disposal facility as opposed to WIP. So actually last year we shipped twice as much waste as we did the year before, and we used less space at WIP for the disposal of that waste. So that's in my humble opinion, that's a real success, employing that, because that space at WIP, which I think you guys, or almost all you guys saw, is some of the most precious, expensive real estate in the country. So that was a good deal. In terms of the progress against the radionuclide inventory, we've shipped more than 50,000 plutonium equivalent curies since the start of the 3706 campaign. About 33,000 of the plutonium equivalent curies came from the 3706 inventory we shipped. The rest came from waste that had been newly generated since we started 3706. But it was kind of a big deal because for the first time in the last 10 years, we got the inventory at Area G above grade to be less than 40,000 plutonium equivalent curies. And the last thing really in that is that we did, right at the end of the year, we also implemented a new nuclear safety basis. What that did was provide some additional controls against combustible materials, against fuel in buildings, a better way or a more segregated way of inventory of the radiological quantity for storage. But kind of in a nutshell, I think it provided a little better protection against having a fire caused in one of those facilities. So that was a good deal, and we've been operating under that new safety basis since the 1st of October. A piece that we talked about all year long last year that you guys had a big part in is we did get to $40 million. In my career, that's a first time that's really ever happened, but it was really the lifeblood to keep us running through the end of the year. Last year also, we started up our nuclear facilities, the box lines and the drum lines. We started 7-day operations in some. We started 24-hour-a-day operations in some, and we're continuing that work as I speak today. The decontamination process I already talked about, and you can see in the bottom photo there's one of the large boxes that goes to waste control specialists, which was the other facility you saw on your trip, so that was a good deal. But we made the first shipment that opened the federal repository at WCS. Venturing away from the transuranic waste work, but we started the pumping treatment of the contaminated groundwater on a test basis. We're going to finish that work up really this week or next week. We will have pumped about 4 million gallons of groundwater and treated about 4 million gallons of groundwater through the two systems that we have out there. We also completed the grade control structure in Sandia Canyon wetlands. That's in support of the basically remediation or tie-up of the chromium that had gotten in the groundwater, so that was a good deal. Our sampling and monitoring group, we collected more than 350 surface water and groundwater spring samples and performed analysis on those and submitted the correct reports to the New Mexico Environmental Department. And then we continued the operation and providing information to the Buckman Direct Diversion project, and we implemented our telemetry system for doing that. So that was all successful. So last year, in terms of the consent order for the milestones and the deliverable commitments, we met those on schedule, except for the ones that we did not have the funding, and those we successfully renegotiated with the state of New Mexico. We've been working pretty heavily with the county, Los Alamos County, on land transfers, on things that they're looking at Trinity Site, Smart House and Nature Center, and the work that was done this summer on Ashley Pond revitalization projects. You can see the control measures on the monitoring sites. We did finish up the phase 2 sampling in upper Los Alamos Canyon aggregate area, and we're just finishing up work on analysis of all of those samples, and that should be finalize that work. And then, you know, one thing I've talked about all the way through is worker safety. We had a great safety record last year. We finished up at 0.83, which was the recordable rate. If you put that into talking terms, we had 5 fairly minor accidents. We only had one injury within the box line that we're doing work. The other ones were outside, where a person would trip on while walking or something like that. So we're pretty happy about that. That's a picture of the transuranic waste box shipment. We shipped the first, these are the shipments that are originating out of Los Alamos that we're sending up to Idaho for treatment in the Advanced Mixed Waste Treatment Facility using robotic means. The first one went out last week, so we're going to basically ship one shipment a week using this cask and trailer. So this is the first time that this cask, it's a Type 2 cask, has been used for shipping transuranic waste, and so we had to get that all approved. In addition to that, it's the first time a box has been shipped from one site to another site, so kind of another first in the work that we're doing there. The reason we did that is the boxes that have the waste have kind of cut up metals, cut up glove boxes, but it was cut up with like a plasma torch, and it has really sharp edges. So even though we could process that in our box lines, I don't really want to expose our workers to those sharp edges, because that presents an opportunity to puncture the gloves that they're working in, and you could get contamination, especially if there was a cut or something like that. So a lot of people have worked really hard on this, and we were really happy when we made the first shipment last week. The trucks will take the same route that the whip trucks take, so it's an established route. And I think the other thing that was important is we cleared the whole thing through the Western Governors Association, which basically has the project execution guide for transportation of transuranic waste. And so they're starting to accumulate these, and they'll begin processing these at Idaho in the near future. Once the waste is processed, it'll be characterized, certified, and then shipped directly from Idaho to WIP. And I think that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.